We are beautifully, melanated.
Hello and welcome to Beautifully Melanated podcast. I'm your host, Karen. Unfortunately, tonight Sarah can't be with us. She's not feeling very well, and so she sends her apologies. Hope to have her back with us next week. But I do have my co-host back, Kay.
Hello. Thank you. It's good to be back. I have missed you guys. I have missed the podcast. I have enjoyed catching up. I have listened to the episodes I missed. Really nice. So thank you for standing in for me when I was away. And I just wanted to say something of my absence. So the last podcast episode I recorded was on coping with loss. And believe it or not, within hours of recording that podcast, I got the dreaded phone call that everyone in the diaspora dreads to get, that call that someone has died. It was a shock. It was quite difficult. So I was away in Jamaica for my brother's funeral. I'm back. And yeah, so if you held me in prayer or thought about me when I was away, I just wanted to say thank you because it helped.
We did.
Thank you.
You were in our prayers. Definitely. You really were.
It made a difference. I felt it. I felt the love. I felt the support. And I know it's still going to be ongoing.
Absolutely. And I just want to say, it has been a really difficult time for you and your family. And like I say, you have been in our thoughts and in our prayers. And we're just really glad to have you back. And if you need anything, we are here for you.
Thanks, Karen. And I'm probably going to take you up on that. So nicely segues into our topic for tonight, the importance of having positive female friends in your life as a woman, and for men, the importance of having good friends around you. So Karen, would you like to start us off?
Right. I love this topic because I think it's so important. I went to the Wireless concert last night in Finsbury Park, London, and it was amazing. So I got to see some artists who I love singing away, to Her and SZA and Lucky Day and Summer Walker. Loved it.
Lovely.
And I was there with my girlfriends. Now, we have been friends since school, so over 4 decades of friendship.
Wow.
I know. It was just so lovely. And we were singing to, I think it was a Summer Walker song. And I looked around and I said, look at us. I said, we're nearly 50 and we're still here. We're still rocking out. Yes. We're still listening to music, and, doing our thing. And I said, look at that. And it was just such a beautiful moment.
Yes.
I love my friends and they have been there for me, through thick and thin, through separation and all sorts of things, bereavements and, you name it. And they've been there. And I hope they feel that I've also been there for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important bond that we share. And like I said, went to school together, getting up to all the naughty things that you do when you're at school.
I hope so.
Absolutely. We can look back on those days and laugh and, it's the kind of friendship you mentioned earlier that,
Yeah.
You don't even have to say anything. They just know.
Yes.
They know you so well that they just know without even saying anything. And also, you cannot see each other for a long period of time. Even if we didn't talk for a year, I know that when we pick the phone up, it will be as if no time had passed.
Yes.
So friendships I think are really important. I also think it's really important to uplift each other as women.
Say some more about that. The uplifting bit. How do we uplift each other?
Well, I tell you what. So not even my friends. If I go into, I don't know, say I'm at a club or something and I've gone into the bathrooms or something, or I see a woman and she looks lovely, I will tell her. I say, oh my gosh, your hair looks great. Oh my goodness, I love your dress, or whatever it is. And people have said that to me. And I think it's so lovely because you're celebrating womanhood, and you're just saying nice, kind words to another woman. And I think it is so powerful. Never forget, one day I went to a club and somebody spilt something on me. And I was trying to wipe my back in the toilet. And the lady came, never seen her before in my life, and she took some tissue and she's wiped me, trying to help me. And I just thought, it's just so nice when people are nice, because I think it is important to sort of, that's a really, really simple example I'm giving you, but these are strangers, who I've never met. And I think just being kind to each other and celebrating our wins, is really, really important.
I will say, Karen, I agree. I feel quite warm inside and uplifted when a woman compliments me.
Absolutely.
I've had people in the street say, wow, your hair is lovely. Where did you get it done? Yeah. Oh, that's a nice top. They need nothing from me. It's just a moment of saying, I see you. And I really, really like that.
Yeah, I do. I love that. Absolutely. Even at work, if somebody wears something nice, I'll always say, oh, you look so lovely today. And actually you can see that it makes them smile.
Yeah.
And in return, it makes me smile. I think it's lovely. It's nice to be nice, is what I say.
Yes. Now, on the flip side of that, can I ask you, your inner circle, that's what I'm going to call it. Your inner circle of female friends who, like you said, they've known you and they've grown with you.
Yeah.
Are these the women who can say to you, Karen, I don't think that dress suits you? Or, are there the women that will give you feedback you don't necessarily want to hear, but that you trust them?
100%. They will say to me, what is that you're wearing? What? Or I tell you what my friend does say to me. She's a personal trainer. So she'll say, come on, look at that gut, come on. So at one point, she was FaceTiming me every day and putting me through my paces, right? So she'd give me these exercises, 20 minutes. I would exercise and work on core abs.
Wow.
And she was taking, it's her time.
That's right.
To the point I was saying to her, okay, not tonight. She's like, no, you can't cancel. Come on. Really being quite, trying to motivate me. It didn't last very long, Karen, I have to say. I kind of lost the will quite shortly into that. But definitely, or, you've got lipstick on your teeth. Absolutely. Yes. They'd be more than happy to say that. But in a way that it's coming from a good place, so you accept it.
Yes.
It's not, and I know I can say the same to them. I think that they would say in a way that was tactful and, mind you, I'm quite funny. If somebody says to me they don't like something, or they might say, oh, you sure you want to wear those shoes with that? If I like those shoes, I'm telling you,
you're wearing them.
I'm wearing the shoes, and I'm going to wear the hell out of them shoes.
Too right.
Equally, if someone says, oh, I really like that, and I don't like it, that's it. It's coming off.
Interesting. You're not wearing it?
Yeah. No. If I don't like it, no.
You don't like it, but your friend is saying, gosh, you look great in that. You're not wearing it?
No. Because I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the thing, it's subjective, isn't it? And what somebody thinks is flattering on you, if you don't feel comfortable, honestly, it's not going to work. So as much as I will listen, I think ultimately it has to be my choice, and I'll have a reason why I want to rock a certain look, or you know what I mean. But I do trust them. Having said that, though, there was a period of time where we did lose contact, to be honest, because I got married.
Right.
And this is something I really want to talk about as well. I got married, and so there's four of us really. I got married, and so did one of my other friends, and the other two didn't.
Correct.
And I'm particularly close to one of them, right? So there's one I'm particularly close to. And she wasn't married, like I say. She came to my wedding. And I think things became difficult for two reasons. My husband didn't like me going out with friends. There were some insecurities around that. So that was really difficult. And I think she felt as if I had, I guess, not put him first because he's my husband, but I think she felt left out, really, and ostracized. We'd been friends all along. This man comes in, says he doesn't like this, doesn't like that, completely changed the dynamics of our friendship.
Right.
And that was really hard. I struggled. because I wanted to honor my husband, even though arguably I shouldn't have allowed him to do that. But I think when you're married and you're young, I was quite young when I got married, I found it quite difficult to manage, I don't know, just friendships and my marriage. I just found it really hard. He was telling me that he didn't like something made him sad, made him feel uncomfortable, it made him feel insecure, and I felt like I needed to hear that.
Right. It's a tricky dynamic.
That was really
Husbands
hard.
and partners and friends.
Yeah, it's hard.
Really tricky dynamic, yeah.
So, but then on the other side, I was thinking to myself, well, I don't want to, forsake my friendships for my husband, because what if, God forbid anything should happen? I don't want my friends to say, well, you threw me away for him. It was just hard. I'm not going to lie. And there was a period of time where, I did lose contact with my friends for a number of years, actually. So we spoke, but it just wasn't the same until finally got separated, and I'm back to normal now. All good. All good.
So the friendship was reestablished after you got separated?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Looking back, would you have made the same decision to prioritize your husband's feelings and allow the friendship to drift?
Well, I tell you what was interesting about that, Kate, and that is that my friend also, if she was honest, would admit that she was quite selfish.
Okay. Right.
So it was both. Do you see what I mean? I had it from both sides. So she was quite selfish in that she wanted me to do the same sorts of things I would have done prior to being married. As
a single woman?
I wasn't a single woman, so I did have to. Well, I didn't have to, but I felt it was important to kind of move forward as a married woman, whatever that meant. And it meant conversations with my husband about. I mean, to be fair, he was unreasonable.
Okay.
He was unreasonable, right? But she was also selfish. And I'll never forget listening to, I think there was a radio show, and it was about, so this guy was saying how friends can be when they're the single friend and you're married.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, oh, left him. Or,
oh, true.
Sometimes people can be like that.
That's the friend you never tell you having marital troubles.
Yeah.
Ever.
But that's sad, isn't it? Because you want to be able to be honest, and you have to trust that your friend has your best interests at heart. And sometimes it's not that they don't, it's just that their view is narrow, isn't it? And it's not subjective, it's quite biased sometimes, isn't it? Yeah. So that's, there is that. What would you like to say on the subject? What's your take on it?
Yeah, again, I will admit it's a tricky dynamic when you move from being single to married, and the single friends have to adjust. So when I got married, I was 21. Yes, my friends had to adjust to the changes in my life. So the time, for one, you don't have as much time to spend with your friends because you are building a marriage and a relationship. So you do have to focus on that too. There were friends that I knew I couldn't say to, look, things are getting difficult. I'm not sure I can stay in this marriage, because they would have said, leave. But that's not what I needed to hear.
No.
I needed to hear a much more balanced, well, what do you want to do? What feels right for you?
Yeah.
So, because the thing is, and we see it a lot, you might say, leave, he's this, he's that, you take sides. And then let's say you work it out, you and your husband, and you're back on an even keel. Where does that leave that friend who said leave, who would call him names under the sun and show him bad face, as we would say? That friendship has now deteriorated because the husband knows this friend isn't for me, and was encouraging my wife to leave. So what I would say is be impartial. Keep a really neutral perspective, friend or not. See you, Karen, as a married woman, and you're in a couple, rather than, well, when you were my friend, Karen, we did this, and now you're married and we don't do that. That is the selfish bit. The one thing I've always struggled with, though, and I'd love to hear your take on it, is let's say you know something. Let's go with the standard. Let's say you know a friend's husband is cheating. Do you tell your friend?
Right. This is what I would do. I would know my friend. And there are certain people who I know don't want to know. I think. And
What the woman doesn't want to know.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take it from the point of view of a really good friend, right? Somebody I'm very close to. I think we would probably have had a conversation around that kind of topic, would you want to know prior to anything happening? Do you know what I mean? So you kind of know where that friend stands and how they'd feel. I'd probably tell him to tell her. So I don't need to. But I think that the other thing I might do is just have conversations or ask questions, really. I think like you, I would come at it from a very inquisitive perspective. So I would ask lots of questions, how are you feeling about it at the moment? How's it going? How would you feel if, that kind of thing. I'm quite reluctant to tell anybody anything because I think sometimes you can get things wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think you can do more damage than good.
True.
And I think that if she's going to find out, it doesn't have to be from me necessarily. That's a really hard one. But then you've got the flip side of she finds out you knew and you didn't say anything.
Said nothing.
Rock and a hard place, isn't it? Rock
so what kind of friend are you to know this and keep that from me?
And keep it. It's really, I don't know. I think, and the thing is, I think some people have different views on infidelity as well. So not everyone will leave their partner because they were unfaithful.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's just knowing your friend and how you think would be best to move forward with that piece of information.
I agree with you. Establish the ground rules. What do you want to know? If I came to this information before you did, would you want me to tell you? And then that way, if you do tell them, it's, well, you did say you'd prefer I tell you. But like you, I would pretty much be saying to the husband, I do know this. And you're going to tell her. I'm not asking you to. You are going to.
You're going to, yeah.
Because now I know, and that's my friend. So I'm not going to be disloyal.
Yeah.
And then if he doesn't, then I would tell. But only if we had that pre-existing understanding that she would want to know.
Yeah.
And from me.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that some people wouldn't want to. Because I know someone who is in a relationship where it's not that the guy's necessarily doing anything. It's just that some things are questionable to me.
Okay.
But I don't feel that I would say that to them. I don't think that it would be well received. And therefore I don't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think you've got to know the friend and you've got to be mindful about how you approach certain things with different people. I think you'd have to play it on a friend by friend basis.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I have a few friends in my circle who I would trust with my PIN number and my bank account. I would trust them with my children and I would trust them with my life.
Yeah.
Those are the friends that can tell me if something was awry in my relationship, because I know they love me enough to support me through whatever decision I made.
Absolutely.
And I would want to hear it from them. If they knew, I would want to hear it from them. I would feel very betrayed if they didn't tell me.
If they didn't, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So that's what I would say on that. And then there are other friends who will stay a safe distance and say, what can I do to help? But wouldn't want to get involved. I also have to respect that.
Yeah.
So my sister, for instance, there are no secrets between us. So if she were to tell me, then
yeah,
I would accept. But she's also the one who can say, I'll not forget when my late sister was alive. Every time I went to Jamaica, she would pick me up from the airport and she'd go, come, hairdresser. She was like, why you look like that? And I said, you don't understand. Hairdressing is expensive in England. It's not like Jamaica where you can wash your hair every week and get your hair done.
Exactly. Honestly, there's such a disparity, isn't there? Because honestly, when you get Jamaica, you get your nails done, you get your hair. that all?
I know.
Yeah, not here.
Literally, my sister put in some gorgeous looks for our brother's funeral and took them out a few days later. If I had invested that kind of money here in love,
You'd be keeping
staying
that.
on. You're staying on till exactly
Dropping
until my
off.
own hair started to look underneath. So yeah, she could say just about anything to me, and I would receive it in love, even if the delivery wasn't great. I would know that it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the kind of women I like to surround myself with.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. For me, I find that I tend not to give advice. I like to talk things through. I like to say, well, how do you feel about this? Or how do you feel about that? And like I say, just coming at it from a questioning kind of stance, where I'm curious and I want to ask questions, just because I think when you ask questions, it makes that person think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to going in with, I think you should do this and that. I think you're right. If you give particular types of advice and the husband gets to find out that, your friend was not kind of for him, it can be really difficult when you get back together again, if you do get back together again. Something else that happened to me, I had a friend, we weren't particularly close, but at the time, our children would play together, and she was somebody that I spent a lot of time with. And he overheard my conversation with her, and she wasn't having an affair, but she was contemplating it.
Okay. Ooh.
And that really put him off her.
Oh wow.
Because I guess it made him think, I was associating myself with somebody who could potentially be unfaithful, and therefore, if you lie with dogs, do you therefore
get up with fleas?
Exactly. And that wasn't the case at all, but I think that's how he felt. And then from that point on, he just didn't like that friend.
Goodness. Even though he never knew the outcome of whether she did go ahead and have an affair or not.
No, just the thought that just the conversation around it was enough for him.
Good grief. I find that really harsh, because Black women are not afforded any grace at all, are we?
No.
We're human. Men can think about having an affair, go right ahead and have one.
And have them.
And still expect to be forgiven.
Yeah. But the very thought.
Right.
Yeah.
The very thought of your friend considering it was enough for him to judge her and say, well, her character isn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband was a very difficult man, I have to add.
So was my ex. And certainly didn't have friends, didn't really see the value in friendships the way I did. So was quite resentful and jealous of my friendships, because I still continued to invest in them even after I got married. Very, very important to me to have my girlfriends, the women who I can go to with just about anything.
Absolutely.
But because that was not important to him, he found that difficult to accept.
Right.
And so his jealousy when I would go out with friends, I just kind of left him to deal with that, because that's his jealousy. Okay,
that's interesting. Yeah,
I did. And there were some mutual friends that, it's better. I think it's easier in a couple. If you're in a couple and you're friends with other couples.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
It's easier. Yeah.
It's when your friends are single.
Exactly. When your friends are single.
Yeah, because they have an expectation of you and your time, and your husband will have an expectation of you and how you spend your time, and that's where the conflict lies, I think. But when you're couples, that's different. Also, I think my husband would have felt better knowing that she's in a healthy marriage, therefore I'm less likely to be led astray. I think he must have thought I was very loose.
But that's a fantasy, because married women have affairs too all the time. So being married is no cushion to whether or not you have an affair. It's there's a fantasy there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, I always encourage my ex to have friends, to really invest in his male friendship. These are the men who you go out with for social purposes, but also the men who uplift you, the men you can pray with if you're a Christian, the men you can talk about your finances with, the men who can help you to grow, not enable you if you're behaving badly.
Yeah.
But he never saw the benefit in that. And I don't know how you go through life without that circle of friends. Because as a woman.
I don't know, I wonder. It'd be interesting to hear from any male listeners actually on this topic, because I don't know if, well, I'm sure obviously men have, friends, don't they? And, they have that kind of right-hand wingman, who are their friends. However, I would say for my husband, he had a lot of associates, lots of people that he knew. He was in the music business industry, so he liked playing out, and he knew a lot of people. But if I would struggle to really say this one and that one really had his back. The chips were down, did they come up? Yeah, not really. I didn't really know. I don't really, and maybe that was his personality. I don't know.
So would you say he didn't have any intimate friendships that were trustworthy and supportive?
I not that I saw, really. I think, we moved all the way out here. So he worked in London, and we moved to Kent.
Okay.
And, it was very, very seldom that anyone would come here. So maybe that's not really an indicator or a measure of friendships. But I don't know. Obviously he worked in London, so he could see them in London. I'm not saying that he didn't kind of catch up. But to really, like, if he had a problem or something was really, if he was finding something difficult or struggling, I don't know. I couldn't really say, this is his bona fide and he would call this guy. I couldn't say that. And I just thought, from that point of view, it was almost as if he must have been quite lonely, because obviously he was in this country without any family. We, myself and our children were his family. But I don't know. He also had this kind of, it's not fair to call it a Jamaican mentality.
Go on.
Because I might offend lots of Jamaican people, which is fair enough.
You can take it.
You can take it. But he'd say things like, people are grudgeful and no one don't want to see him prosper. No one wants to see him move forward in life. And I often thought that it was actually his perception.
I would agree it's his perception.
Pardon?
I would say that is definitely his perception.
Oh, 100%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not a Jamaican mentality, because even being back from my brother's funeral and listening to what his friends had to say about him and the tributes he was surrounded by wonderful men who he grew with, both, in every sense of the word, who he matured with. And some of them are family, some are not, but, they certainly have a kinship, a brotherhood.
Yeah, that's nice.
That lifts each other up, or I'm the person you can come to. No, that they didn't suffer with people don't want to see you prosper. I'm not saying that's not there. It is.
It is there, isn't it? It is there. That is there. It's something to talk. There's a sort of a small margin, isn't there, of people who do think like that. And actually, he was his own worst enemy in thinking, because he was so negative in his thinking that actually you're stopping yourself from prospering.
Yes, it's up to you to discern who you can trust and bring into your circle, isn't it? There will be those who are jealous of you, so you keep a wide berth, you give them distance, but then there are those who would only want the best for you.
Absolutely. And you try to surround yourself with those people, which is what I do. I try to surround myself with really positive. I'll include you in this, okay?
And I include you too.
Yeah. Professional women who are positive and forward thinking, and, people who I want to be around, who uplift me, inspire me even.
Yes.
And I need that too. So not that my other friends don't, and not that obviously all my friends are necessarily professional, or that they would need to be, but I'm just saying there are different, have different types of friendships for different kind of things, I suppose. And everybody brings something different to the table, don't they?
Yes. Yeah. I would say, looking at my friendship group at the moment, they're all very professional, powerful women. It's just happened that way. We are all on the same wavelength. Yeah. So that, there are those who I grew up with who have drifted from. There are those I went to school with who I thought would be my friends for life, and we're not. There's one, Monique, I can name her, absolutely incredible woman. And we met as dorm mates when we were 17. And going to university for the first time and boarding, and she can read my mind at a distance. So what I found is birds of a feather probably do flock together
I think
because
so.
we're all
Yeah.
ambitious in our own way. It doesn't look the same, but we're all ambitious. We're driven. We're warm. We're loving. We like to have a good time, but we can also be serious. There are women in my circle who, Karen, I have said, I need an accountability partner. I'm having difficulties financially, and who know my financial affairs and encouraged me and literally gave a hand and said, come on, we can do this together.
That is amazing, actually.
Yeah.
That
Who would
is,
put money in my bank account
yeah,
without me even
yeah,
asking, because they knew I was going through a difficult time. I never brought it up again.
That is,
Yeah.
That really goes beyond any sort of regular friendship. That kind of friendship is just special in every way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think money is something that often people don't like to kind of
that's right
talk about or discuss, or have talk about their issues with, or so if you got a friend who was like that. I mean, the other day my sister called. I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, and she was like, oh, could I borrow? That's just a no-brainer, for me to
yeah
as long as I've got it. Because I tell you what, that sister would give me her arm.
there
She
you go.
literally, there's just no question. So if she ever needs anything, I'm there.
Yeah. So I have friends who I can ask that off, and I know if they have it, it's mine, and there is no pressure. And I have friends who will do it without me asking. If they know where I am, then they will just do it. And it's a loving thing to do. When I tell you I have been loved on by my friends, I cannot explain in words or even in one podcast how my friends have loved me over the years, particularly when my marriage ended. I had to give up work. I was on income support, which was £64 a week at the time with 2 young children.
Wow.
And, many days there was just a light bulb in the fridge. And I remember one night, my friend, I'm going to name her because she's just incredible, Audrey. She called and she said, are you home about 8? And I said, yeah. And at 8 o'clock, there was a knock on the door, and it was Tesco's. She had ordered a shop and delivered it to my door.
Oh, wow.
With some really nice treats in there that I wouldn't normally order because I'm on a tight budget. And she was like, it's just a little something. I know things are difficult. And consistently, she has been that person, and Jackie too, who was a guest on this program, who have said, how can we support you? It's not so much giving you money, but it's also helping you to budget, to balance, to plan out of debt, to plan out, to take the next step. Those women, every woman should have in their circle, no matter what their man says. I mean, I'm single now, but friendships are non-negotiable for me now, Karen, because I know that I have come to know the meaning of love from the women in my circle.
That is beautiful, honestly. And, you know who your friends are when they do things like that. I mean, and she knew that without even asking. Didn't need a conversation. Yeah. And she just did.
And she was a single mother at the time too. Yeah. And she said, and that's how I know. Because as a single mother, you know the journey.
Wow.
You don't even have to wonder. You know the journey.
Yeah.
And go on.
I was just going to say, she knows that you do the same. That you do exactly the same for
Absolutely.
her. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you know, the one other story I'd like to share, back in 2009, I think it was. Yes, it was 2009, Karen. So I had just come back from my late sister's funeral. That was 14 years ago. Or was it before? But either way, definitely single parent, really difficult times. I had just started my counseling training. Oh, my sister was sick, but she hadn't passed yet. And I couldn't pay for one of the terms. And I got a letter from the college to say, if you don't pay by this date, you can't come back to the course. I just started my counseling training. And I was devastated because I wanted to continue and I didn't have it. And I said to one, two, three, four, five, about 6 friends in my circle at the time, including my sisters, that this was the case, that I was going to drop out. And they all went, no, you're not. I got checks in the post.
Wow.
I had one friend pay my childcare costs for a month and a half. I had another friend pay for my travel for a month. But I got more than I needed to pay the tuition.
That's
And
amazing.
I will never forget that.
Yeah.
And so I do the same. You know, I pay it forward. Someone does it for me. When
Yeah.
I'm in a better position, I pay it forward. I do it
Yeah.
for another woman.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Absolutely.
not about keeping that kind of goodness and blessing to yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's such an important point, is that you want to share that. So if I have
Absolutely.
knowledge of something, or I know
Mm.
how, you know, something works, or I can help someone, it's not just sharing sort of, you know, finances, but also knowledge
And skills.
and skills. They're so important.
Yes.
So important to pass those on and to share that, you know.
Absolutely.
If I, you know something that can help someone else, pass that on. Don't keep it to yourself. But you're absolutely right. That level of kind of friendship and just giving in that way is just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have a lot of love in your life, and that you are much loved by your friends, which is just so lovely to hear. Yeah.
I'm very, very blessed in that respect. There's some amazing women in my life.
Yeah.
Who are my accountability partners, who are my blind spots. They will tell me what I can't see or don't want to see. They will hold me. They go, have you noticed? And I feel like every woman needs to develop this, because that's what sustains you when the blows come from life.
100%, definitely. And do you know the other thing I use a lot of is laughter. I have a friend.
Yes.
And it's like we have our own language. It's like, you know, like we abbreviate everything, but I know exactly what she means. And she knows what I mean.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes we pick up the phone, and before we've even said 2 words, we are in fits of like we are in stitches, and we're just
I love
crying.
that. I
Honestly.
absolutely love that.
And then we go, what are we laughing about? And then we'll say something against, like, a silly thing, and honestly, we are just creasing. And I just love that. Like, for me, laughter is so important.
Yes.
Just having that, I don't know, just the ability to laugh with my friends. And we get it, you know, like my daughter calls it inside jokes, you know, you have to know it. But I just love that. I love having that kind of friendship where you don't even have to say anything. You just get each other. You know what I mean?
Yes. Friends that can come and crawl into bed with you, or you into their bed. Oh my gosh, Audrey and Claudia. I used to go to their house and crawl into the bed and go, let's spoon.
Definitely. I've got a friend now. When we stayed in the hotel for a while, we shared the same bed.
There you go.
You know, and you know, when we were younger, I have to say, we used to share undergarments, obviously clean ones.
Yeah, of course.
But some people might go, oh my goodness, how disgusting. But to us,
it's not disgusting. You know, I took my daughter to Jamaica with me recently, and she was like, does anyone own anything? I was like, no, it's community property. My sister has a dress I want. My niece had a trousers I want. I had something there, and we just wore each other's clothes.
That's what we
Standard.
did. Yeah, honestly. We were getting ready to go out.
Yeah.
And we were just like, that jacket would go with that. Or we just
That's
mix
it.
and match. We would mix and then go out looking fabulous. That's what we did.
Of course, naturally.
Oh, it's so funny.
So in closing, Karen, you and I have daughters. How are we passing this on to them? The importance of these important, positive friends to help them grow.
Do you know, I have found that quite tricky. I think moving to Kent when my eldest was very young meant that we did experience some racism out here. And the schools were not particularly diverse. That doesn't mean that she couldn't have made friends with children who were not of colour, of course not. But I think it was slightly more difficult initially.
Yes.
Because, you know, when they're little, you need to get to know the parents. You can arrange play dates, that kind of thing. And I always had play dates. I did a lot of that, so sleepovers and things. But I think it took her longer to kind of form what I would say are healthy friendships. She's at uni now, and she's got some really good friends. They're going on holiday together, and she has developed some really good friends, or friendships rather. But that hasn't always been easy for her. And for my youngest, she doesn't attend a school in our
Right.
area. So she
Right.
goes to school out of area, and therefore she can't pop round really to someone's after school, and no one can pop round to us.
Right.
So again, but she does have good friends. I do hear her sort of cackling away and laughing on the phone and things. But I have to say, my children are very, they'll make friends anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, they can go anywhere and just talk and make friends and, you know, meet people, and they're not shy in that way, which is really, really good. So I really, really hope that they will form long-lasting, healthy, you know, loving friendships the way that I have and the way that you've experienced.
Yeah.
The other thing that I remember is as a kid going round to my parents' friends' houses.
Oh, yes.
So we did a lot of that. So Christmas time, for example, all the men would get together and they would go round to each other's houses, and each family, so the wives, would cook so that when, you know, these men came round, they would have food. So they'd sort of eat in, like, I don't know, 7, 8 places, right? But all the women, would get together. And so I would be friends with the children of these couples. Does that make sense? So
yes, it does.
Yeah, with lots of, everyone was called auntie, everybody was called uncle, and everybody was my cousin. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I remember doing a lot of that. So when I moved to Kent, what I did find was that I found some friends who also did quite a similar thing. I've got some friends from Tanzania and from Kenya. And so because we were friends, we had children of very similar ages. So they would kind of get together, and they sort of, you know, they've sort of grown up together and gone off to uni, not the same unis, but they've kind of, you know, so that was really helpful in kind of forming those sort of family friendships, if you like. But I really hope that my daughters do have, like I say, really long-lasting, healthy friendships, because I just think that's so important.
I agree. I do see where Aaliyah is beginning to develop that discernment of who means her well and who don't. Let's sum it like that.
Yeah.
She does have one gorgeous best friend who is male, and he is incredible. And she's not able yet to establish that with girls in the same way.
Right.
It's developing. I don't know why, but she sees what I have, and she calls them auntie, and they love her as if she's their child, and she knows she can text or call any of them anytime.
Yeah.
And she goes, I want that for myself. So it's both modeling and encouraging her to use her intuition and her sense of awareness. That's how I've helped her. My son's slightly different, but he does have a really good, solid friendship network. And eventually, because he's a little bit older, he's 23, so some have weeded themselves out as they get older. But I think don't want to leave the boys out, don't want to leave the young men out.
Absolutely, that's right.
Young men, make friends, but choose wisely.
Choosing wisely is really important. I mean, even for yourself, I'm sure you're quite similar to me in that as I've got older, I know the kind of people I want to be around.
Yeah.
And certain people that I feel are better for me to remove myself from. Because I think I bring something to the table, and I like friends who also do that. And if I'm not feeling that, then I need to distance myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not a thought. You do bring something to the table.
Oh,
that's a fact.
Thank you. Look, I'm fishing
you
now.
You are a good friend, Karen. I can text you anytime. I know you'll answer. Same for Sarah. No. You bring something to the table, honey. Yeah. That's a fact. And your curry goat is amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You know, we need to arrange another dinner date. We digress.
We digress. But we digress. I want to take this opportunity, though, to say thank you to both you and Sarah for being so supportive in my recent loss. And thank you to all my friends who came together. They sent cards. I was covered with flowers. I ran out of vases at one point. All the flowers that came through the door, through the post, the gifts of money, And culturally, I get that not all cultures do that, but certainly Jamaican culture, it is a thing.
Yeah.
To go towards expenses. I was very well held, and I think that stopped me from buckling. So a big thank you to everybody in my network. Huge, huge thank you.
Well, you're much loved, Kim.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, in closing, email us, beautifullymelanatedpodcast@gmail.com, or follow us on Instagram at Beautifully Melanated Podcast. Please send your questions, your comments, your stories of friendship, your experiences of positive friendships or negative, maybe something we can discuss or read a letter when Sarah returns. Either way, we would love to hear from you. But for this week, bye from us.
Bye.
Bye.
We are beautifully